on an empty chair a little bit ago. I'm gonna call on the chair now. I think the chair is full. Damon Franke. He's in the Big Easy, I believe, or near the Big Easy. Yeah, are you in the Big Easy or near the Big Easy, or am I just full of shit?
No, I live in New Orleans.
Yeah. You do? Okay. Yeah, very envious of you, because I've never been there and I don't know what I'm talking about.
Oh, really? Oh, you need to come
Never,
down.
Yeah. But I saw the guy who did The Wire did that show about New Orleans, and it seemed very Dickensian to me.
It's a great show, Treme. Yeah, he did a great job.
Yeah, right, Treme, yeah. So anyway, I'm assuming that in life's a 24-hour-a-day party, and there's jazz playing nonstop. Is that right?
Well, there is the COVID crisis right now.
Oh, that's right. A little COVID crisis, yeah. So you recognize that we got Satish and we got Dylan here, and we got Jonathan Goldman, who's now a big deal in New York City. He's joined us. Yeah. So, but I remember you. I remember you coming, and I'm thinking, man, this guy's gonna go somewhere cool. I thought, you were headed for someplace cool, and indeed you ended up someplace cool, I think.
Are you talking to me, Jonathan?
Yeah, I'm talking to you, Damon. Yeah.
Well, we're both
maybe you don't think you ended up someplace cool. I do.
Yeah. Well, Jonathan lived down here after Katrina for a couple of years. I
didn't know that.
Yeah.
Well, we're learning all sorts of stuff. But you said that you had something you wanted to read. What was that?
And Satish drove him down here when he moved here. Epic road trip, I can tell you.
Wow, sounds like it. Yeah. So anyway, you got something you want to share with us?
Well, yeah. So I'm a little older than Dylan and Satish. I think I'm pretty close to Jonathan's age. We're a couple of years. I'm a couple of years ahead of Satish and Dylan at least. And I had graduated actually already when I took. I was going to read from this. I thought you guys might want to hear.
Oh, right.
About you. These were called readers back in the day. Copy Central on Bancroft, English 126. I was going to read some from the Sirens and perhaps Hades, but just to say things. I've been, I was very shook by his passing, and he's very instrumental in my life and my career, as Dylan was saying earlier, and Jonathan too, right? We all pursued an academic career with Joyce as a major focus. As a result of him, it was that influenced me, at least. I was very lost in those days. And especially when taking this class, I had no idea what I was doing. I was just working at REI, and I was starting to sub in Oakland after I'd graduated, substitute teaching. But I didn't want to lose track of academic career. So this class was perfect. As I guess we've all learned, he was a night owl and had his classes all in the late afternoon. And I got to say, I am very much like that too. And I love that about my career, being able to make my schedule and, stay up till 4 a.m, teach in the afternoon. It's just my biological clock. I suppose we had that in common too. But so I would be able to get out of, I would be able to go to this class, and we bonded from that. Let's see. Is there any parts you're curious about what he had written here?
Dude, it's all on you, man.
So,
I remember there was one section, Damon, where he gave detailed notes chapter by chapter, but if I recall, and it's been a few years, there was one chapter where he sort of like wrote a paragraph and then said, "You're on your own for the rest of this."
Yes, that's well. The last two, it was kind of incomplete. You know, he has these. Dan put some of the maps that he would have. He had hand drawn in detail here at the end, but he hadn't done Ithaca or Penelope, and so he had some letters that Joyce had written about Penelope and Ithaca that he just put for those sections and said, "You're on your own." Well, I'll just read some from the Nausicaa. He's talking about Gertie and introducing her situation on Sandymount. As Gertie daydreams on Sandymount Strand, a benediction service is being held in the Star of the Sea church nearby for the benefit of men who have pledged to stop drinking. These men, who comprise the congregation in the church, are on a retreat. That is, they have withdrawn from the world to contemplate their spiritual fates during this benediction. The benediction service differs from the Mass in that the Holy Sacrament, the Eucharist, is not actually distributed to members of the congregation, but only exhibited to them. The priest places the host in an elaborately ornamented vessel and then holds it up for the congregation to behold. The Pearson's weekly entry, the next one, self-improvement magazine, marketed to appeal to the lower classes. It featured articles on how to throw inexpensive meals together, how to get extra money, etc. It also ran the usual range of advertisements, including those of the sort that Gertie seems to have studied. Patent medicine manufacturers of the day often advertised anti-drinking powders that you could pour in someone's drink without his knowledge. The advertised effect being that the unsuspecting consumer of the powders would turn away from drink with profound revulsion for the rest of his life. Obviously, the staff, like contemporarily analogous substances, did not work. The ones I posted on the Facebook tribute, they're pretty funny. For the ones that the Sirens, you know, he was so musically gifted. Some of those are pretty funny. Golding a chance, best value in Dublin, dinner fit for a prince. Having followed Boylan to the front of the Ormond Hotel, Bloom casts about for a way of entering the place nonchalantly. He observed Father Cowley's red lugs, ears, and Adam's apple down the street in front of the sheriff's office, but decides to avoid him by latching onto Richie Golding, who is going into the Ormond to have dinner. As they converse casually on the street in front of the Ormond, Richie Golding tells Bloom that the Ormond Hotel offers the best value in Dublin, and that their dinner is fit for a prince. These two phrases get caught up in the episode to become something like the Richie Golding theme. Most beautiful tenor air ever written, Richie said, Somnambula. Cowley has seen Ma Apari in the War Room, but Richie Golding seems to mistake it for the song All Is Lost Now from Vincenzo Bellini's opera La Sonnambula. This is an opera about a married woman who walks in her sleep and while doing so puts herself in the position of seeming adulterously false to her husband by climbing into a bed with another man. Hence the song All Is Lost Now. Hence, also, its appropriateness to this moment in Bloom's day when Boylan is jaunting towards 7 Eccles Street. All is lost now. The funny one is at the end, right? So you're talking, it'll bookend who was reading Emmett's stuff before. You know, that this is famously talking about Robert Emmett's epitaph and put to Bloom's fart at the end of the episode. And so he's annotating the line, I must really, now if I did that at a banquet, just a question of custom, Shah of Persia. Bloom begins to fart as he walks westward along the Ormond Quay. As for the strange table manners of the Shah of Persia, now Iran, where Bloom recalls having heard that the Shah also blows his nose in theater curtains and prefers hearing the orchestra tuning up rather than actually playing. Yes, it is. I feel so lonely. Wet night in the lane, Horn, who had the implication of these lines and others that follow is that Bloom has encountered this horror before under more desperate and compromising circumstances. Open to interpretation, he has written. Must be the cider or perhaps the Burgund. John's note, the source of Bloom's flatulence. A gallant pictured hero in Lionel Mark's window, Robert Emmert's last words. In the front window of Lionel Marx's antique store, Bloom sees a portrait of Robert Emmet, beneath which are inscribed his famous last words. Emmet was one of the leading patriots in the rebellion of 1798. He was apprehended, tried, and sentenced to death in 1803. After the death sentence was passed on him, Emmet uttered the famous words that Bloom looks at here. When my country takes her place among the nations of the earth, then and not till then, let my epitaph be written. I have done. And then the last words, cran, 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 ah, the sound seems to be the sound of the tram grinding along and passing or breaking, orchestrated together with the sound of Bloom's fart. So, always what the body is doing and making some.
You know, you can never go wrong with closing with a fart joke. You know,
yeah.
I mean, some things are timeless.
And
Joyce knew that.
So, I'll stop there. I thought that was, you know, what in my career, I've always tried to be as accessible to my students as John was to people and his students. And you know, I was drawn to him in particularly because of that ability of him to be so sharp and thoughtful, but also not to take himself so seriously, you know, so I've tried to continue that legacy. Yeah.
Well, I think you've done John proud. You know, I keep up with you again on Facebook a lot, and you've got the common touch. That almost sounds like an insult, but I really mean it in the best possible way. You've got the common touch. I tell you, we're going to have Diana in a minute doing another tune. We could do one of two things at this point. I could sing you a song, or we could discover who Skip Tripoli is. Skip Tripoli. Why don't we do that? Skip Tripoli. I don't know. I have no idea who you are.
I am a friend of Dr. Jeannie Bishop.
Oh, okay. All right.
I'm learning a lot about literature. I am married.
You're learning from the wrong place, dude.
I'm married to the law, but philosophy is my mistress.
Okay. Well, you know, we're exactly what we look like.
I gathered that. Very nice.
All right. Well, good. Just for you, we can, because I didn't see anybody here that was like sort of new to it. We can play our game, which is what's in the box. Okay, I got a box here, and there are 3 things in the box, and you got 20 questions. And if you know how to use chat, you can chat to Paula, and you can guess. And Paula might report some on what it is. But if you guess correctly on one of the items, you win it. And you might end up winning it anyway, because you're the only person who's sort of like a layperson here. But go ahead and you can think about it, and you can play Guess What's in the Box. And at the end of our program, we will indeed find out what is inside the box. I'm going to sing you a song real quick, a song I wrote dedicated to Bloomsday. And then Diana, is Diana still around here?
Yes, she came back.
All right, yeah, okay, cool. This is a short song. It's called A Cheerful Little Bloomsday Ditty, and I'm making up the tune on the spot as I usually do. Bees start to bloom, the man who wanders round the town. L is for his lovely wife who takes things lying down. O is for the one-eyed man who hurls the biscuit tin. O is onanism too, it's a certain seaside sin. M is silly Millie, the 15-year-old daughter. S is short for Stephen, who's scared of dogs and water. D's for Dublin, that's for sure, the novel's urban setting. A symbolizes all the crap that Mr. Bloom is getting. Y is yes, the final word of Molly's nighttime thinking. Together they make Bloomsday. That's the story. Let's start drinking. I'm gonna have some. Man, another one bites the dust on that. Okay, so you can have whatever you want. I'm gonna have a little while. I'm gonna have a little Guinness. Here's a little tiny Guinness, yeah. Okay, you got some Guinness there too. All right, Bonnie. So
you still want Jonathan to do anything? You had asked him, but I don't know if you want to do
well,
more.
Jonathan, are you here, Jonathan? Jonathan, where are you? I'm looking around. Are you here, Jonathan?
He was.
Where? I don't see him.
Maybe he
I
left.
do not see him. Is
Well,
he here?
maybe
All right, he'll be back in a minute.
All right.
All right, Mark Mitchell's going. Hey, let's wave bye to Mark Mitchell. Bye, Mark.
I'll see you next time.
Good reading. Good reading. Yeah, I really enjoyed it. All right, so I don't see Diana.
I'm right here.
All right, so, and it looks like, why don't you move around a tiny little bit? Let's see. Okay, your visuals and your sound is good.
Very good.
Okay, yeah, and she's looking cool in her sunglasses. So
Yes.
why don't you just favor us with another tune here?
This is a tune that John Bishop loved. And I'm going to take off my sunglasses because the harp strings actually have color, and that's how I can see them. So remember to kick it over. It's good advice. That's all, folks.
That was beautiful. Thank you.
Okay, so did Jonathan leave?
Yeah, he said he needed to step away. So that I think Damon, though, had something else he wanted to add. Am I right?
Damon wants to add something. Okay.
Am I right, Damon? And
Damon?
also, just to, while we're waiting, well, I don't know. He said best painted black ever. So I don't know what that means.
Oh, no, it's the name of the tune.
Oh, okay. And then let's see. There was something else. Hold on a sec. I lost it. Oh, Ashiro had to leave. He says, "Thank you very much, Dan and everyone. I really enjoy Zoomsday.
Okay.
Love the harp too."
Yeah, yeah. And Diana, always great to see you, even when you're freezing up. Okay, so Damon, you
This
what do
is
you got?
so in the big lecture hall. When we got to, it was Ulysses was about half of the class, and when we got to it in the day of the class, he or the day before we were going to start Ulysses, he made sure, through his teaching assistants, that everybody got these 4 different pages to help them guide themselves through the, all pre-web days up through the early 90s. And so it was, he said, okay, everybody should get 4 pages, and what you can do then, as I did at Stanford, is paste them up in such a way. It's basically the schema to Ulysses that he had modified, and added a few things too. So he said, paste it up on your wall, on your dorm wall or your bedroom wall, and you can read that there, and it has 2 at the bottom to finish the schema. It was just, what were we getting into? And he was it was just a wonderful little thing. Really, I think it hooked a lot of people.
Wow. Okay. Well, thanks for sharing stuff to put on the wall. So let me see. I think it's Norma's turn. Norma's been waiting a while. Norma I've known Norma since the late 80s, maybe. There was yet another. See, the nature of Berkeley is so weird, Skip, that there was a Finnegans Wake group led by a guy named John. There was another Finnegans Wake group led by a guy named John. There were 2 Johns leading Finnegans Wake groups. And I met Norma in that other group, being led by a John in the Finnegans Wake group. But since then, now I'm reading Ulysses with her. She's done a lot of stuff, and but she's had to explain to a lot of people why she's still reading the book. Most of my family's given up on finding out why I'm still reading Finnegans Wake. I've explained to them there's a trick ending that ends in mid-sentence and starts in mid-sentence. They don't get it. But she's going to really talk to you a little bit, an original piece of hers, like why the hell are you reading Ulysses still? So Norma, just tell us about it.
All right, well, first of all, Jean, to you, I worked at Cody's on Telegraph just shortly after John's book came out, and that's where I picked it up. And he could not be anonymous coming into Cody's. He was a rock star, basically, wanted whatever he was trying to browse and look for, because we were starting to get expanded shelves of glosses for Joyce. But everybody just, he was just a really kind of like a famous guy, scholar and nice and whatever. But that's how I met John Bishop. It was the other John's class that I spent 20 some odd years doing. So when Dan asked me to do something, I refrained from trying to find something I could read because it seemed overwhelming, and then I just started writing. So what I'm going to be reading is me mostly, and it turned out to be a thank you, John Bishop, for your telescope into discernment. I'm just going to go through the whole thing. It's 2 pages. In the beginning was the Word. The Word in the beginning carries the story of Adam and Eve, who then decided themselves to originate, to say their own, to name, to author their own meaning, Who are we then? What are we then and now and ever? We are outside the restriction that was Eden, waking after every night to the sinning of every day. Other stories have gifted us our other characters and more meanings. Shakespeare's comics give relief from our too often tree-toed white underbelly. O'Neill gives us Hickey for hope, and more importantly, Larry Slade for something more practicable than hope. And he gives us Josie for peace. And Beckett, from Beckett we have Gatto, spiking despair with laughter and the companionship to go on. Joyce is our wayfinder. Finnegans Wake is our story. On behalf of time spent necessarily in the dark, all of us are waylaid. Joyce is a wayfinder for our private and public stories. His representations, the life of his words that are and aren't, pour into the river run of our all but unconsciousness, wake us and guide us ever to our being's beginning. The keys to given, away, alone, a last, a loved along the river run, past even Adams. And remember that Huck, our premier American originator risk taker, ran out of river. Joyce's most clearly obscure wordings are the way. They render in dream's dark place that uncontrollable human space of torn letters, where we forget our native glossary, where every sin of our heretofore origination is blanketed, obscured, where language languishes, and from where we wake from not time to recollect a bit. John Bishop, in his consummate Joyce's Book of the Dark, asks and illuminates upon the centrality of the wake, the question behind the question of meaning, of how we know, of what value is the nonsense of us. Bishop tirelessly represents Joyce's representations, and his gift, John's gift, is the bum fit of the doped. John helps us out of the seductive obliteration of the wake. From his book, quote, English does not have a single word, let alone a mimetic convention, that does for the absent what representation does for the present. And what kind of language could adequately fill the spaciously whole affair? He answers, impossible as it may be to fathom as an obscure totality, even at the level of a page, particles of immanent sense, i.e. inherent perception and understanding, particles of immanent sense will stand out from the dark foil against which they are set, in turn to suggest connections with others, and still others, until, not necessarily in linear order, out of a web of items drawn together by association, a knot of coherent nonsense will begin to emerge. Our rubbled HCE has sustained a Humpty Hill head of a fall, but he is not completely obliterated. Obliterare, a Latin from littera meaning letter or something written. Wording as a verb, wording is still there. He, we, need Joyce's way to find our own again, to resurrect from the clear obscure to clear oscuro, to clarity coming from the dark. John helps assemble the coherent nonsense. He references Norman Brown, that the dreamer sinks into himself, rebuilds, makes himself a whole new world, a man-made world in the deepest sense, out of the body of the dreamer. Our time with the wake, in the wake, is an outrageous and audacious enterprise, but it not only relieves us from life's boredom, it convinces that our Sisyphean labors are rather regenerative and our natural hubris, both gratefully ridiculous and satisfying. Joyce reminds that our daily sinning is forgiven, that we don't need a symbolic or allegorical redeemer. For better and for worse, we are our own. To say that our day following our night always has possibility is redundant. Our day is, and it trails the clouds of renewal up from out our night. So first a glass raised to Joyce for his refreshment, and for the puns of it, much thanks. And to John Bishop for understanding the web knit from Joyce's maze. From your outrageous and audacious enterprise, we have a wonderful telescope, even a telescape. And now and forever the rest of us can raise another glass or two, all the better to see across the landscape that is ourselves in our world.
Wow. Very nice.
Yeah, that was great. That was yeah. Give the,
Well, my kids
golf clap.
always say their mom who's always reading Joyce. Some of them even remember when say Happy Balloons Day. Anyway, yeah.
How cute.
Thank you.
Wow. So we have a few people left. I believe Bonnie. I haven't called on Bonnie yet. Is that correct?
Right. There's Bonnie, James.
Well, James has left the building.
Oh, James left? Oh, okay.
Hey, Diana, thank you so much. We really appreciate. Wait, Sharon, is James coming back? No? All right.
Okay.
He was going to have the great spot. He was going to read the first page of Ulysses last. But I guess, do you have to go to bed or something? Anyway. We can't hear you. Can you unmute Sharon for a second?
Yeah.
Okay, just for a second. Hold on.
I'm asking her
Hold on, Sharon.
There you go. Perfect.
I think his back got sore from sitting there too long, and he needed to take off.
Well, okay, so it's not going to get any less sore. He's done.
Well, I can go ask him. If he.
Tell him he can read. He's going to read in like 20 minutes or something.
Well,
okay.
He's going to be the last reader. All right. Yeah. Find out.
I'll get him.
Okay. All right. Sure. You can. Yeah. Okay. We like looking at your ceiling too. That's really charming. You could turn the phone the other way. Turn the phone the other way. Never mind. Clueless. All right. Go ahead and mute Sharon.
Okay.
That was only that easy in real life. Okay, fine. So Bonnie. Yeah, Bonnie Lamb. She's a body lamb. She is.
Wait, give me a second. Am I unmuted?
Yes.
Yeah, you're unmuted, Bonnie Lamb.
I'm unmuted. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yes, I can.
All right.
Bonnie Lamb. Should I introduce you, Bonnie Lamb?
Please do, Dan. Please.
Here's Bonnie Lamb. That's all you get. All right. Bonnie Lamb. I ran into Bonnie Lamb the other day, and she said, "Oh, he's still reading Finnegans Wake?" And I said, "Yeah, every Tuesday." And she said, "Yeah, I need to come by sometime." And I said, "Yeah, anytime." And then she told me, "Yeah, it's a little difficult to, when it's in person down in the cafe." But when Zoom came along, she was like, she was on it like white on rice, man. She was on like a prom at dawn, and she's been showing up, and generally speaking, been a really good-natured sort of person. Bonnie's another person, along with Norma, that I've been reading since like the late '80s, and with a certain intervals in between. Bonnie's so hardcore. Get this. She named what did you name your kid?
Anna Olivia. Anna Olivia.
What's her middle name?
She's Anna Olivia.
Yeah, she made it even more Irish.
Olivia, from the Olivias.
Yeah, yeah. So anyway, you know, I always tell her, like, don't be fooled. She is really kick ass when it comes to knowing the stuff. So, oh, okay, Skip is leaving. Hey, Skip, did you guess what was in the box? No, no one's gonna guess what's in the box.
Nobody's even tried guessing yet.
I know. Well, that's the boring mystery, but you're gonna find out what's in the box if you stay around the end. So, Bonnie, why don't you go ahead and hit us?
All right. From Finnegans Wake, at the very bottom tail end of page 248, going on to page 250. You can color up till you're prawn, while I go squirt with my cockle. When hear who does me in Fux's sleep. But if this could see with its backside, he'd be the grand old green-eyed lobster. He's my first view mark since Valentine. Wink. Wink's the winning word. Luck. In the house of breathings lies that word, all fairness. The walls are of Rubenin, and the glitter gates of elfinbone. The roof hereof is of Massicius jasper, and a canopy of Tyrian awning rises and still descends to it. A grape cluster of lights hangs there beneath, and all the house is filled with the breathings of her fairness, the fairness of fondants, and the fairness of milk and rhubarb, and the fairness of roasted meats and Unio Margaret, and the fairness of promise with consonantia and of vowels. There lies her word, you reader. The height hereof exalts it, and the lowness her down abaseth it. It reverberates along upon the tegmen and prospodes from Pomeria. A window, a hedge, a prong, a hand, an eye, a sign ahead, and keep your other auger on her, pay, and you have it, old Sam. Pat as I be seated, and Sonny my gander, he's coming to Nander, the boy which she now adores, she adores. Oh, backbondum zug, make way for their tug. With a ring ding dong, they raise clasp hands and advance more steps to retire to the same. Curtsy one, curtsy two, with arms akimbo, devotees. Irrelevance.
Very nice. Accent was just right.
Thank you.
Okay, so Dan, you have any thoughts? Where's Dan?
that was nice. That was less than 5 minutes. That was really short and sweet. And we keep losing Jonathan. Oh, Jonathan, you're back. Okay, Jonathan, unmute Jonathan, please. Right. Jonathan. Hey, so I want to point out what a big deal Jonathan is. He's a modest guy. He doesn't want me to point out, but I'm just going to say the New York Times is interested in how he spends his Sunday. That's all I'm going to say. No, really. I mean,
that's
New York
great.
Times, apparently it's a slow news day, but they followed him around on a Sunday. It was like, hey, what did you do? And and like in shop and stuff. So
I can tell you how that came about. It's actually really bizarre, but
okay, go ahead. Tell us that story.
Well, in brief, so they wanted more diversity in their profile, in their Sunday profiles. They were looking for more Latino subjects, and they went from this they had profiled this guy, a friend of mine, Flaco Navaja, a couple of years ago, and he did I play music, and he and I had done a collaboration, and they went from him to me. And then they like hit my website and found that I'm not at first it looks like not a musician at all, but a James Joyce and otherwise an academic James Joyce scholar. So then they put that together and they're like, oh, this guy's interesting. He's a James Joyce scholar and he plays Latin music, and that's how it came across. But it was because they were looking for non-white people. And in case you can't tell, I'm not a white person.
As a matter of fact, hold on.
You went muted again.
You muted yourself, Dan.
Hold on. Jonathan, I'm just going to, are we there? Okay. I'm going to say for the record that Jonathan Goldman is not the whitest person that I know. That's how not white he is. So, yeah, or not white. I don't know. Anyway, go on. Keep doing what you're doing. I'm shutting up.
So, Jonathan, did you want to read something, or?
I don't want to read. I really want to come and
Okay.
pay my respects.
Okay, great.
This is it's late in New York City. Obviously, some of the rest of you are on the East Coast too. I feel in a way like I have this day to me has been devoted to John Bishop, not just the parts that were actually devoted to him because they were arranged as moments to devote to him, but I have felt his spirit with me throughout the day. And I don't really, I don't need to read more Joyce myself to feel that. But I'm here to, just to check in and continue and sort of put a bookend to that.
Thank
you.
You
know
That's
what I
nice.
mean. Dan, you're muted again.
Dan, yeah, you need to unmute again. All right, well, we're getting him. He doesn't like to read notes to himself. There we go.
Okay, well, yeah, sorry. I just want to say that, Jonathan, we appreciate all the stuff you do. The people of New York City are lucky to have him. He's now, I believe, I'm going to get the title wrong, the president of the Joyce Society.
Vice president.
In New York. And he's going to do a lot to kind of make it so that when you're in New York City, you actually can find out what's going on in the world of Joyce in New York. That's been kind of missing ever since the Gotham bookmark went under. But I've talked with Jonathan about it, and he's serious about making New York City another Joyce hub again. I just want to point out that I'm waiting here that I'm wearing probably the last surviving T-shirt from the 1989 Finnegans Wake celebration. It's in heliotrope. That's heliotrope on black there. And the thing that's subtle is it's 50. You see how there's a 50 there?
Oh,
that was way too subtle. Anyway, so yeah, Jonathan, for all the stuff you do and for your friendship and really for driving Damon Franke down to or you're getting Dylan and Satish to drive Damon Franke down, and yeah, all that stuff. I mean, God, it's just really great. And Shane, who isn't here, Shane O'Connor, who's a part of my life. And I just want to tell a quick joke that you told me that I tell all the time. We have a mutual friend named Shane O'Connor, who's another guy that's just stellar. And he's helped me out with a lot of Joyce stuff. And Shane got married, and we were sitting around, and Jonathan told me this joke, which I still find hilarious. It's a riddle, which is, why do hippies hate herbal infusion? The herbal infusions. And the answer is because hippies don't believe in proper tea. Yeah, right. I know. Terrible, terrible pun. But yeah, Jonathan, I always credit you when I tell that joke. I just found that.
Forgotten.
You've forgotten the joke. Yeah, well, that's how it goes. So at this point, there's Paula and basically maybe we get James back to read the first page.
Yeah, he's not back, and I think that personally I'm going to skip because we have such a beautiful ending already. We just had nice sign off by Jonathan, and we have Bonnie.
Oh, so you're ending it now. Okay.
Well, no, I'm just saying it's 10 o'clock, and I think why add another thing because it's beautiful.
Okay,
Unless anybody else.
I have a question for you before we all log off. I could, if you give me a minute, I could give you more visuals.
I'm not forcing anything. I'm just saying that. Go on.
Well, okay. Well, but you're not going to read. You're the last person, I think.
Yeah.
Because James is not showing up, and we're seeing. Oh, that looks good, Damon, man. I want to light up too. But what we could do, we have two things. First of all, I could show you what's in the damn box.
Yeah, do that.
Does anybody want to know what's in the box?
We had no guesses.
Yeah, a few people want to know what's in the box. Bonnie doesn't care. Ishiro, do you want to know what's in the box? Yeah, all right. I'm going to show you what's in the box. All right, so I'm going to give you the explanation first, okay? So I do drawings, right?
Give us some hints, Dan.
Okay, hints. Think Brad Pitt. Think Brad Pitt in the movie Seven. What's in the box, man? What's in the box? That is my best Brad Pitt, man.
Death mask.
You want to try doing a better Brad Pitt, man?
Oh.
What's in the box, man?
Georgia just got it.
That's what I think.
Georgia's got something.
Death mask.
Okay. All right, so here's the deal, is I do a lot of drawings. I go to the foundation. This was their bronze death mask of James Joyce. And I always thought there was something fishy with it. And in 2008 or something like that, they got a new donation, and they got this, a second bronze death mask. And I went, oh, okay, I see what's going on. And I said to the people of the foundation, I said, I know this is going to actually require some work out of you, and you know, I don't know what the people of the foundation do, but they're very good at telling me what's not their job. So they told me that it wasn't their job to pull stuff out of things for me, but you know, that they were very heavy and all that. And I said, please, 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 please. And yeah, they pulled out the two bronze death masks, and they put them side by side. And I looked and I said, all right, that one's real, that one's fake. And they said, wah! And I said, look, okay, here, dudes, look, take a look. And even you, not knowing much, can tell that this one's the real one and this one's the fake one. And the reason why is this one has details on it. I'm gonna go back to my drawings for a sec. Here, like on this one, you see how there's like stubble on there, and his mustache is trimmed a little on the, you know, and there's hairline, and you know, and it's sort of natural. And the other one, the other image, let me see if I can grab it. Yeah, this one's all smoothed out, you know, and it was smaller. And anyway, so they were like, oh my God, one of these is fake. And it's like, yeah. Well, you know, if you have eyes and look, you can tell that. So one of the people, they call themselves curators. They need to go to curating school, but that's okay. They call themselves curators. One of them said, well, you know, we had a guy come and make a replica of the fake mask, and in plaster, because you can do that. It doesn't harm the thing. And he said he made the first one and it wasn't quite right, so he made a second one. And he gave us the first one, and we don't kind of know what to do with it. So we're wondering, since, you know, we shouldn't really keep it because it's fake, you know, would you like it? And, you know, when someone offers you the head of James Joyce, whether it's real or not, you don't know if that's ever going to happen to you again. So here's what's in the box. Okay. Yeah, I'm keeping the head of James Joyce in a cardboard box in my house. And you know, basically, you know, when I keel over dead, they're gonna find this, and this is gonna be a scandal. But you guys are all witnesses. I got this on the up and up. I wasn't a grave robber or anything. And so anyway, James Joyce wants to say this to you. Thank you all for coming tonight. This show was grand. I really liked it, you folks. So yeah, so you know, keep on coming back, and you know, thanks for being reading the Finnegans Wake all those years, people. And to John the Bishop, man, you know, now you're on my side, so let's let's get together and have ourselves a nice glass of white wine. What do you say? So, you know, so that's that.